I seriously can't believe how food just keeps getting more and more expensive. I mean, if you try to take your family out to a really nice place, it can cost a fortune. So I'm gonna see if I can create another feeding a family of four a nice fine dining meal for under 25 bucks. But I literally have no clue what I'm going to make, like no clue at all. What we need to do is get to the store and see what they have. Sound good? Let's shop. Back in the store and heading over to the protein counter. I always start there because that seems to be the most expensive thing, of course, when menu and recipe planning. I would love to do a beef recipe. I need to check out and see if there's anything that we can pick up. This is awesome. I found some Coulotte steaks. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it's one of the three muscles that make up the top sirloin, and this is also known as the sirloin cap. Decent marbling. I mean, I've got probably a pound and a half for 14 bucks. That is huge. We can finally make a steak meal. All right, let's head over to the veggies and see what we can get there. All right, I'm thinking classic steak and potato here, and the Hasselback potato is super simple to prepare and needs almost no ingredients. Now, you can use a Yukon or a russet, and I think those are going to be pretty inexpensive, and they're going to work out perfectly. All right, let's go check out the other veggies. All right, we've got the steak, we've got the starch. How about like some roasted zucchini, like bâtonnets, some real thick slices, fry them up. Maybe we can see if we can get a little cheese in there, see what we got. And just doing a really quick price check, I think I'm at around 23 and a half, almost 24. I don't think Parmesan's gonna be in the cards for me today. However, what I do think I can do is get a little garlic to make some butter for that steak. And just walking over to the checkout line, it's funny, I don't have much. We're gonna have to dig into these techniques like no other to ensure this all tastes really, really good. Let's unload and see what we got. This part is always the most stressing, to see if we can come under that $25 budget. And total score, the Coulotte steaks were actually on sale a little bit, so I got them for cheaper, which means, and I know I didn't show it, I ran back in and got that Parmesan cheese for the zucchini. All right, let's get home and get cooking. And the biggest challenge when doing these sorts of recipes, it's always timing. Making sure everything's finished at the exact same time so we can serve it up together. And remember, those household staple items like oil, butter, milk, eggs, that absolutely applies when doing these. And I may take a little liberty here because I happen to have some fresh chives and fresh thyme in my garden. So yeah, I'm gonna use those. Let's unpack and we're gonna get started with our potatoes. And I'm just gonna add these potatoes right to a colander, heading over to my sink and going to give them a good rinse down in cold water. Just rub them with my hands, get off any unwanted dirt. And I'm just gonna dry them off real well with a paper towel. And when it comes to slicing them, trust me, I wish there was a classic French technique that was just so perfect for doing this, but there's no other way than this. You're going to need a towel and 2 skewers, okay? So what we do, just lay this towel down first, all right? We're gonna place the skewers down. We're gonna put the potato right on top of the skewer, okay? This is going to prevent us from slicing all the way through. My knife cuts aren't that great to know when I'm at 1/4 of an inch every time at the bottom without wanting to slice through. So this is what will work. All right, so now that we're in here, on the sides, we're just gonna slice down until we feel the skewer, and that's it. This just takes a little concentration, nothing more than that. I promise you can absolutely do this, and just repeat the process till they're nice and fanned out like this. Boom. Add all 4 Hasselback potatoes right to a sheet tray with parchment paper. What I'm going to do is just spread on maybe a tablespoon or 2 per potato, making sure to get in between those cracks. That's going to help brown everything up. Then I want to season it up well with salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Again, I'm going into those cracks and crevices. Want to season everything here. Then once they are seasoned up, I'm going to add them to the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm thinking they're going to take about 60 minutes to cook. All right, in the meantime, I don't want to forget about that garlic clove because that also has to get in the oven and roast up. So the way that I do this is I peel off that outside shell, get down to where the cloves are exposed. I'm going to grab my chef knife and just slice down the end until you can actually see those cloves like this. This is perfect. All right. I'm adding on about a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil to the center of a sheet of aluminum foil. Going to rub it in there. I want to make sure this does not stick at all. I'm folding it up just to make like a little mini tent like this. Great. Going in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm thinking 30 minutes for this to finish up. So all I'm really looking to do with these is slice them into thick bâtonnets, okay? This is just a big, like, French fry, for lack of better words here. So just gonna slice off the ends here. We're gonna slice it in half, and then from here, we're gonna slice it down even more. After I've sliced it in half, I'm gonna slice it in half again, and then make those bâtonnets. Rather, these are more wedges. If you wanted a true bâtonnet, you would cut off the seeds. For me, I wanna make sure I can feed enough people, and those seeds are sustenance, so I'm keeping them on there. I'm going to put them on a plate to the side until I need them. And Comies, we definitely have some downtime here, probably 25 or 30 minutes before we need to come back and start on the steak and the zucchini. Now, we are going to cook those at the exact same time in 2 separate pans, so you have to pay close attention. But first, when we come back, we're going to knock out that roasted garlic butter. And be careful, because that foil is hot. Let's give it a quick flip. Yep, perfect golden brown, exactly what I'm looking for here. I'm going to squeeze all these cloves right into a bowl. This may be hot. You may want to wear some gloves when doing this. Take the time to get all this goodness out of there. It's a lot of flavor for our butter. Mashing it with the backside of a fork. Going to add in 1 stick of unsalted butter that's softened. And I do have chives in the garden, so I'm going to slice up about 2 to 3 tablespoons and add that right in there. I'm just going to mash it with the fork to make sure it's combined. And definitely do not forget, season it well with salt and fresh cracked black pepper. We want to make sure this enhances the flavor of our steak as well. Be sure to give it a taste. Does it need more salt? Does it need more pepper? In this case, I'm good to go. I'm going to set it to the side in the fridge. Alrighty, now for the steaks. And ever since I took these Coulotte steaks out of the packaging, they're way bigger than I thought. This is easily going to feed 4 people and maybe some left over, which is fantastic. What we're going to do really quick is just season both sides with salt and pepper. And you know, when it comes to seasoning, I like to be about a foot off, okay? So if this is where my steak is, I'm gonna be a foot high, and I'm gonna season generously with salt. This way you cover every little square centimeter of what you're seasoning, so every bite is well seasoned. Same exact thing with the pepper, all right? Once we are good, we're gonna flip it over and do the exact same thing. And remember, steaks love salt, steaks love pepper, so definitely season to taste with that in mind. So once they are completely seasoned up with salt and pepper, I'm taking these along with my zucchini, going over to the cooktop. I have a large frying pan. I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons worth of olive oil. I have another large rondeau pot separately. Going to add in 2 more tablespoons of olive oil there and crank the heat on both of these to high. And this is definitely when it gets a little bit hectic, okay? Potatoes are almost done. We are going to cook the steak and the zucchini at the same time, but we are going to do a little process to make sure it's not too crazy. Follow close. Hang on. Here we go. Once I see that smoke start to roll off the pan, I know it's time to sear. So I'm going to add the steaks in there. I'm also going to make sure not to crowd the pan because I want to sear them. I don't want to steam them. I'm going to immediately turn the heat down to medium high. Add in 6 to 8 garlic cloves, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And I've got thyme in my garden, so 10 to 15 sprigs of fresh thyme should be good. Let's go over to the other pan that is smoking. Adding in the zucchini, spreading it out to make sure it covers all surface area to get nice and golden brown. And we're talking 6 to 7 minutes cooking time total for both of these, all right? So after about 1 minute, I'm going to come back and I'm going to start moving the steak around the pan to make sure it gets golden brown, just like in my steak au poivre recipe. This really does help get browned up. Okay, I'm going over to my zucchini, going to give them a quick shake. You can see the brown starting to happen there. Fantastic. Then I'm going to add on, remember I said I got that Parmesan cheese? About 1/4 cup shredded right on top, going in the oven 3 to 4 more minutes max. While that's in the oven, I'm going to flip the steak over. It's perfect. I like medium rare internal temperature. 3 minutes per side, I'm telling you, should be perfect for these. Now that the zucchini is in the oven, we're talking maybe 3 to 4 minutes for everything. The potatoes, also the steak. So get ready because we're going to take everything out at the same time. The steak is done cooking. We want to let it rest on a plate to the side. Let all those juices soak back in. Let's break out our Hasselback potatoes. They look fantastic. In addition, I'm going to add on a teaspoon or 2 of unsalted butter right over the top. Let it melt down in there. More flavor. Zucchini's done. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And dang, I am sweating, but this is why it's so important to understand these fundamental classic techniques, making sure you get the sear on the steak and the zucchini, making sure the potatoes are done so everything is finished at the same time. Super important. It's all about elevating your everyday cooking when you follow and practice these techniques. All right, let me show you how to plate this up. I want to very thinly slice these steaks and on a bias, show off how beautiful they are, and will also help fan it around the plate. It's going to look beautiful if you do this. That's my promise to you. Take the time to thinly slice it, fan it out on that plate. Let's add a nice dollop of our tasty roasted garlic and chive butter. I'm going to put that Hasselback potato right on the other side of the plate, putting the zucchini in the middle. Oh man, yeah. Sprinkle on a little fresh chopped parsley, and I just want to show you it's medium rare internally. Perfection. And the flavors in this are just so tasty. I really think you and your family are going to love it. And I just hooked you up with a fine dining steak dinner for under 25 bucks for your family of 4. And trust me, there are going to be leftovers. And if you love this recipe, you're definitely going to love my chicken Kiev. It's very, very good. Got a great recipe video. See you on there.